Hey, Death Metal Promotion. We are Voimaton.
What up?
Thanks for asking for this interview. We've got your questions here. You're asking us, what's the story or significance behind your band name?
We were just kind of looking around for names, and I forget how we even stumbled on this name. I somehow found the word online. I think it was the name of a painting or something. Was Voimaton, which means powerless. And just plugged that into Google Translate in like 5 different languages. Voimaton came out when I hit it in Finnish. Sounded like a cool word. Here we are. Voimaton.
Exactly. It appealed to all of us, once we heard it. And, we pretty quickly decided that it was a good name for us. Especially because we listen to a lot of Finnish death metal.
And our lyrical theme centered around powerlessness. So, that's the linchpin in the name. It's like, we're not powerless, the lyrics mean you're powerless.
So, can we share some insights into the creative process behind Profane Vestige? I kind of saw Profane Vestige as sort of our realization for when we came into the band, what we were kind of trying to do. So it's almost like it was a realization of the band even before it was formed.
Yep, sounds good.
And in a way now what we're doing is sort of like, I see as, now we kind of know what Voimaton is, and a little more clearly. So there's a little more self-awareness, but at the same time, Profane Vestige will always have that kind of it was just, the word that comes to mind is Dionysian. It was just passionate.
Next.
What themes and emotions did you explore in this release?
So, like we said with the name, the name sort of centers around what the name means in Finnish, hopelessness or powerlessness. And that's just sort of what the lyrics centered around it. It was a broad range of things that can make a person feel powerless. It's everything from being stuck at some shitty job you don't like, all the way through to being stuck in a war. Or, the fact that every year seems to get a little darker and a little bit more fucked up.
Having COVID without a vaccine.
And then in that state, reincarnation. What a pickle that is. That's actually the title track, Profane Vestige.
Absolutely. Could you give us some background on the album cover art and how it connects to the music? Yeah, it was really fun commissioning the piece of art. We all had a vague idea of what we wanted to do. I ended up being the one who discovered NC Meyhoff. And but if there's 2 things I can say about what we were agreed on even before the art was created was that it was, first of all, we wanted something original, and second of all, we wanted to make something excellent. So that's why we made the investment in NC Meyhoff, because he worked on a really high level. So
Check him out, his art rules.
Didn't he do the Merciful Fate flyer or the King Diamond flyer? He did something big recently, didn't he? One of you pointed it out.
I know we did some stuff for Ghosts.
Yeah,
that's right.
For Ghosts.
That's it, that was it.
Yep.
Kind of cool to see him moving up in the world like that.
Oh, indeed.
So you're asking, how has our cooperation with Personal Records been, and how did it influence Alan's production?
So easy.
Very easy. Yeah, I mean, we were hit up by Jacobo randomly. He liked our demos, he liked our EPs. He said he would press an album with us, offered vinyl, which was a huge deal. But he's been great. He's been signing some great bands. Check out the roster. Check out Jacobo. Personal Records has been great.
Absolutely. He's a cool guy. He's treated us well so far.
A+. Love him.
So You say, in our opinion, is having a label deal crucial in today's music industry? I would say, like, I feel like what's kind of insipid in this question is, like, you know, the music industry of today is different than it was, you know, 10 or 20 years ago when the record industry kind of where it came from. So, especially, like, again, insipid in this question is like the internet, you know. So I think on a certain level, like, because of the internet, a label is a little less important or something, but at least my perspective on it is kind of like, if you find the right people to work with, they have things to offer you and experience and skill, and it's like, there's no reason to not take advantage of that.
Right. There's no reason for that, and then also, you know, I would say, if you have an interest in pressing physical things, if you have the money to do that on your own, you don't need a label. Not everybody does, so like having an option for physical releases, tapes, CDs, vinyl, assistance there is good. You know, that's crucial because everybody likes physical media. Case by case though, I mean, at the end of the day, you're right, the internet's changed everything. You know, you can be established in 2 weeks if your songs are good enough because it goes around the world that fast.
It is nice to have somebody to do all that light work though.
Yeah.
That's mostly what I've gotten out of it.
I mean, you and I have self-made an album. It was arduous to do all of that on our own.
Oh yeah, just going down to the post office with like a stack of CDs to go everywhere and flicking stamps and the whole thing. Yeah, don't miss it.
Yep, been there and done that.
Thank you, Jacobo. Thank you so much.
Yeah, they do a huge amount of good work.
Yeah.
If you could change one thing about the music industry, what would it be?
I don't know. There's a lot of things.
More beer tickets.
More beer tickets. Yeah, that'd be good. I don't know. I guess just how many bands there are out there. Like the internet has oversaturated lots of things. There's so many bands out there, you can't listen to everything, and nobody can. But at the end of the day, you know, it's not all bad. It gets a lot of new people out there, gets a lot of new exposure for people. But like that's the one thing I always seem to battle is just like getting above the fray of how many people are out there. There's a million bands out there.
Yeah, I think there's still a lot of passionate people working in the music industry, and it's like, it doesn't really matter what industry you're talking about, but like, you know, if you find the right people to work with, who are passionate about what they do, and like have vision, like I support those people. Like you always find like, you know, the people who don't do their jobs well or whatever, but there are good people in the music industry. So
Plenty of them.
When did we first start listening to death metal, and what led us to discover and become a fan of the genre?
I think it was high school, junior years when I really dove into it in high school, but I dabbled with a lot of thrash metal and metalcore before that. Heard Cannibal Corpse and it was over. Ever since Cannibal Corpse, you know, got Entombed and all the other usual ones, and that must have been what, 2006, 2007. So I've been into death metal at least since then.
Similar frame of time for me. You know, it was like sophomore, junior in high school. I remember like finding artists on LimeWire like Obituary and Death. I'd never heard of them before, but I just, you know, I had been listening to thrash metal and I could sort of anticipate that, like, what would this sound like if it was just heavier? And that was the music that I was looking for. Honestly, when I found death metal, like, it really satisfied like a deep craving for like my music. And I'll say, and I think I'll be saying this the rest of my life, like death metal is like my music. So I always wanted to be in a death metal band. So that's my story.
Pretty much the same. Like started getting into like, you know, rock in middle school or whatever, and then down to the whole like new metal thing through high school. About junior, senior year, I seem to remember like seeing like a Jungle Rot poster at the local record shop, picking up that CD, and it was like, oh, what the fuck is this? And yeah, 10, 15 years later, here we are.
Have you encountered any memorable epic fails during live performances?
If we have, you haven't seen them.
Forget lyrics. That's about it. So far.
Drop a drumstick, cymbal stand falls down, monitors crap out. I don't know. You just deal with all that stuff. Like I said, if there's anything that's happened, you haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's interesting. It hasn't happened in this band, but of course it's happened to like every musician who's played for long enough.
In my other band.
You know, and I think they are. There's a good experience, you know. For you can't avoid those kinds of incidences, and you end up learning. It's a crucial thing to go through as a performer, like you know. But you learn from it, and there's always a possibility of it happening again. One thing that always kind of like pleases me whenever I think about it when it happens is like most of the time the audience may or may not even be aware of the mistakes. And, that's yeah. So I think thinking like that keeps it from happening as often too.
And luckily, it hasn't really happened in this band yet. Sure, it will as we keep playing.
Oh yeah.
All I can really think of so far is our last band, that sound guy that dropped acid right before the show in Fort Wayne.
Oh yeah.
But that's like a fucking 10-minute story.
Yeah. Who can forget that one? If you can survive a sound guy on acid, you can play stadiums.
Make sure to like do the right drugs or know how to handle your drugs. If you're gonna do it before you go on stage, I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah, not let the self-destruct spirit animal down there.
We're not your spirit animal, buddy.
If you're watching, we love and miss you.
Are there any recent music or movies that have deeply impressed us?
That's a good question. I'm trying to think more music-wise than movies.
Yeah. I think usually like the influences I take, I'm like constantly taking new influences in, and it's like usually on a very subliminal level, you know. I don't like to get too comfortable with what I listen to, so I'm always like expanding my interests. But like something that kind of comes to mind since you like mentioned movies, I just bought a movie called The Devils. It's made in like the early 70s. It was based on a screenplay written by the guy who did Altered States. But check out The Devils. I don't know. It's just got this like it kind of just explores evil, like and just shocking, very shocking movie. Anyways.
Yeah, as far as new music, like Henry said, it's always good to expand your tastes. I've been jamming like a bluegrass band called the Dead South a lot recently. They're like a darker sounding bluegrass country band. That's been really cool. Explored a lot of like instrumental funk. As far as movies, just last night watched something called Shin Godzilla. It's like a really good semi-low budget Godzilla movie. It's really weird and disturbing, and I don't know, really enjoyed it.
Actually watched that a couple weeks ago too, so
Hell yeah.
that's a pretty awesome film.
And I think for new music for me, I mean it's not like new genres or anything. I've been listening to thrash metal since the Atheist show here. When was that? Like 2 months ago. So I've just been digging into all the thrash metal that you never heard. So like it's not Metallica, it's not Megadeth, it's not Slayer, it's not the Big Four. I've gone through lists of French thrash, Canadian thrash, Russian thrash metal. I'm just deep diving, and like everything I found is like 8 out of 10.
There's a ton of good music out there in all genres.
Yeah, if you want good thrash, I've got you.
It's like drinking through a fucking fire hose.
What are our thoughts on the future of death metal as a genre?
It can only get weirder.
Yeah, that's true. It's already weird enough, and it's just getting weirder because look at how many bands there are doing. Name a thing.
It needs to be weirder, right?
Yeah, it does need to be weirder. I don't know. It has to get weirder. If it goes back, it's just I don't know. It's as candy. It's as candy as pop. If it goes back, so it needs to get weirder.
I've not heard that expression.
We'll always love death metal.
Yeah, plain
That's the shit.
plain and simple.
Whether other people like it or not, or what's going on with the scene. Like, one thought I had some years ago was like, death metal is like cockroaches. I mean, like, they'll always be there. There'll always be death metal heads, especially when like everybody else has forgotten about it. There'll be the people who really care about it. So I'm not too worried about it.
Nah, it's here to stay.
Can we describe the current death metal scene in Chicago?
Like it's definitely like constricted in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Like there are a lot less bands in Chicago, it seems, than there were pre-pandemic, which seems about normal, honestly.
Yeah.
But
Pandemic wiped out a lot.
There's a lot of solid bands sticking around right now, like Nucleus, Pat's other band. Let's see, we got Molder, Beast Lurker, Pig's Blood,
Rotted. What else is going on? Jungle Rot kicks around here mostly instead of Wisconsin. Cardiac Arrest, Cyanide. Some other ones that I've missed. High Spirits.
Oh yeah.
Other bands in the scene. They're keeping it going.
Did I already say Echo Primordium?
You did not. Them for sure. Echo Primordium. No, there's others.
I think one thing that's good thing has been going on for the Chicago metal scene that it seemed like in the last like 5 years, especially post-pandemic, is like the whole Midwest scene is kind of flourishing, like especially outside of Chicago, like Minnesota. Bands like who we just played with recently,
Mall.
Mm-hmm. And other extreme bands like from the Indiana, Iowa, and I feel like the Chicago scene is doing a pretty good job of like bringing those people in, and like we're kind of unifying our scene. The bands are getting to know each other.
Yeah.
So I think that's good. I think one of the things that Chicago has suffered from in the past is sort of being like isolated, just because we're like in the middle of the country. But now it's like the Midwest is waking up to death metal, and Chicago's becoming a conduit for more music, and that's cool. So what's our favorite death metal album of all time, and why?
Yikes, that's tough.
Fuck, why indeed?
Yeah, that's a hard one. God, all time?
Gotta pick one.
Right?
Yeah, that's always the worst thing. One.
It's like when you listen to death metal like every day, for months at a time or years, a lifetime, like, you can't really stand to have one band that's your favorite, or one album, but
right.
Of course we all naturally like maybe have our favorites. So like I feel like I have one. It happens to be Blessed Are the Sick by Morbid Angel.
It's a good one.
I think it was like if you like follow the catalog from the birth of death metal and you get to Blessed Are the Sick, and I think there's some other Human by Death as well. It's like one of the first death metal albums that like kind of it left just like that. There was like that gritty, primitive sound that death metal had, but those albums like Blessed Are the Sick, they started like getting more artistic and exploring different sounds and feelings, and so I think it's like a landmark album for that. I just like the way it sounds, honestly. So.
Yeah, like those are good. I'm trying to think if I have to pick one, what would it be? I'm gonna go with Easy Cop out here, Entombed, Left Hand Path, because like that was one of my first dives into death metal when I was in high school after I found Cannibal Corpse. I can listen to that album over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, and I have, and I hear something new every time I do it. Like, I know it's a classic and it's really popular at this point, but I have to go with that one.
Killer album.
Yeah. If I had to pick one, it would either be Realm of Chaos by Bolt Thrower or Deliver Me Unpaid by Vanished.
Good one.
I just like shit that's really simple and stupid and dirty.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. What plans do we have for the future of Voimaton?
I mean, lots of plans. Hopefully get on some tours, go play out of state some more, support some big bills. I don't know, bring other bands out on the road. Just get out there, fucking play places, meet people. Hopefully get to Europe. release another album. We're working on another album. Acquire more weed in different countries and states. I don't know, normal band shit.
Let us travel.
Yeah, book us. We'll play anywhere and pay us some weed.
Nothing to add to that. More riffs, more shows. Hopefully die eventually.
Yeah, there you go.
That's all I got.
Yeah.
I like it.
Keep doing the thing till we can't no more.
That's right.
And do we have any message for your channel subscribers? I don't know, I appreciate your attention and like, you know, thanks for watching this video, for the people who have, and seeking out if you like caring like, you know, who we are and, you know, the band, and, you know, I appreciate your channel a lot. Like, you know, I've been on YouTube for, you know, kind of since it started, but like, you know, you guys organize, you organize the death metal, like pretty well for the listener, and like, you know, so I'll click on your video, it kind of like, you know, gets me into new stuff or old stuff, and I just really enjoy your channel, and for the people who subscribe, like, you know, you're helping the channel survive, so I guess thank you.
Sincere thank you for the interview time and for reaching out, for giving a shit, like Henry said, because people need to give a shit for this to happen. You guys do. We appreciate that. Thank you for waiting out my spell with COVID. Sorry for the delay.
Well, thanks for interviewing us.
Thank you.
Thank you.